What do you do when your reality is not your story? What do you do when you've made all the right decisions and you have been obedient, you followed the rules, and you've done everything that you know to do, and life hands you something totally different than what you expected? That's what I want to talk to you today about. My reality is not my story. What I did and what I've done in the past, it doesn't make sense for me to be where I am today. The primary character that I think about when I think about that idea is our old friend Job. And over in the book of Job, we see that Job had a lot of kids, and he had a great family and a lot of wealth. And then we see the devil, Satan, coming and wanting to attack somebody, and he's looking around and see who he can attack. And he goes to God and says, I saw Job and I wanted to attack him, but there's something protecting him. There's something around him. And eventually God allows Satan to attack him. And I know you probably heard this before, and you may have heard it many times, but everything that we go through, no matter how bad it is, understand that God has allowed it. That he will not allow you to go through things that you cannot endure. That just like if you step into an elevator, you see the maximum capacity, the maximum weight. That's what God has that set for you also. That even though life may seem heavy and things may seem bad, that God has already said it, that you can endure a certain amount. And if you're going through something, it's only because he knows that you can get through it. If God didn't think that you can endure it, he would have not allowed it to happen. He would have just let somebody else go through it. But he chose you, just like he chose Job, to endure whatever it is that you're enduring. So I want to use Job as a prime example of how God allows things to happen in our life, and even primarily just looking at Job and how he had been, as the Bible tells us, a good man, an upright man, a faithful man. He loved God, and still trouble came to his door. I want to use that as the foundation, use that as the backdrop, and then also look at what Paul has to say over in 2 Corinthians chapter 4, beginning at verse 17, looking at verse 17 and 18. He says, "For our light affliction, which is but for a moment, worketh for us a more exceeding and eternal weight of glory, while we look not at the things which are seen, but at the things which are not seen. For the things which are seen, they are temporal, and the things that are not seen, for they are eternal." The underlying tone in what Paul is saying is that we must have something that we have set as a goal. We have an outlook that is far beyond what we see and what we're going through. See, as I looked at what Paul said, and he said that we look towards things that we cannot see, I have to ask the question, Paul or God, how can we look at things that we cannot see? Well, the Greek word there for looking at something that you cannot see is where we in our English language get the word scope, as well as where we get the word skeptic. And so I want to use those two words and help us to better understand what Paul is saying and apply it to your life when you're going through those tough times. Paul is saying that we have a scope, if you think about a telescope, or a stethoscope, or a microscope, is something that is used to look beyond our human capabilities. Look beyond what we see right now. And that's what Paul is saying, is that we as believers in God, that we have to have a faith that even though we're going through tough times, that these tough times are only brief, that no matter what it is, it may be in your family, it may be in your finances, it may be in your business, in your career, in your education, whatever it is. Paul is saying that you have to use your faith in God and know that you have an ability to look beyond what you see in your human nature, whatever the immediate circumstance is, that you have to look beyond that. The second word he says is where we get the word skeptic, and he says that you have to be a skeptic. A skeptic is a person that doubts, a person that doesn't believe everything they hear just because they hear it. And I have to believe that even myself, I'm a skeptic. I hear a lot of mentors and teachers and educators and people that are successful, and they say things. And one of my mentors has always told me, he's always quoted this great wisdom of trust but verify. That's to say that you should listen to what somebody is saying and accept what they're saying, but be mature enough and do your due diligence to go back and verify what they're saying. Paul is saying that we must be skeptics, that even though tough times have arisen and tough times have come, that we still need to have a hope and a faith and say that, God, I hear what the doctor says. I see what the results are. I know that the bank declined me this time. I know that the industry is tough right now, but God, what do you say? I'm going to trust, and I see what's going on, but let me verify it with my God. See, when you think about this idea of having a goal that you cannot see and having faith, you think about a runner. Think about somebody that's about to run a marathon. And that's what I really want to encourage everybody to do today is continue to run their race. See, a marathon runner, they start the race, but they don't see the finish line yet. But they start with the expectation that they are going to finish. And you have to be the same way. Start with the run. You've already started the race. You're in the middle of the race. Continue on with the expectation that you're going to finish the race. That even though you've fallen and scraped your knee and you're cramping and it's tough and you're sweating and you're tired, keep running. Keep the faith. See, I realize that your reality is not a part of your story. It's not a part of what you've done, but your reality is a part of your race. And the great thing about a race and the great thing about being a victor and getting through tough times is you learn from that. You grow from that. So, and the thing that you have to keep in mind is that God is really just training you for the next race. That there's going to be another tough time. There's going to be another storm. There's going to be another trial, another tribulation. And now you're being prepared for the next one so that when you go into the next one, you're much stronger. Not only that, but there's going to be somebody around you, somebody in your family, somebody in your circle, somebody that you run into in the grocery store that's going to be going through that same struggle. And now you have the opportunity to say, hey, let me help you. Let me tell you what I did to get through this situation. That's all I have for you this week. I'm so excited. I'm so glad that you have decided to join me this week. Take this, share it, use it. I'll see you right back here next week.